The Independent Electoral Commission's budget has reportedly been slashed by almost 770 million rand over the next 3 years. The IEC says this places them in uncharted territory for the 2024 elections. Mawethu Count says the cutting of the IEC's budget could hurt democracy. For more on this, we're joined now by Mawethu Mosery, the IEC's Deputy CEO. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, sir. Let's talk about this. Firstly, why this midterm cut of 700 or just under 770 million rand?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers. The cut in our budget is general to all publicly funded institutions. It's a percentage of what we had planned over the midterm. And when we got feedback that we need to reduce our budgets, that's the impact of the percentage of reduction that we are asked to do.
Many people are worried about the consequences of this cut. Can you please maybe take us, we're heading to the 2024 elections, very important elections. What are the consequences of that cut?
Yes, we're heading to an election in about 24 months. It straddles over the next 2 or 3 financial years, and these budget cuts are within that period. They will indeed affect some of our operations. We have not worked on the nitty-gritty detail of the impact of the cuts, but we are obviously seeing cuts in the area of personnel that we use in expanding our capacity when we prepare for an election. We are also looking at how we would save costs in the area of voter registration drives. And currently we are even considering that we should have probably one registration weekend. Given all the technologies we've introduced in the space of voter registration, it is something that is on the table for consideration. And the last bit is how we manage our logistics in preparation of the 2024 elections. But in a broad sense, we still have a very good and sizable budget that will help us give South Africans a quality election.
Now, we saw a relatively lower turnout in the last election, municipal election and so forth. Are you not then, when you say, you're speaking about some of the areas that will be affected in terms of, this budget cut, and you mentioned, just one weekend, one registration weekend. Don't we face the same problem again in 2024 when it comes to the people participating, the number of people participating or wanting to participate in that election?
We are going to experience an impact, but we must start by noting that the voter turnout was not as a result of how much resources we have as an electoral commission. It is a number of socio-political issues that contributed to a low voter turnout. But certainly from a media encouragement and coverage, we had good support from yourselves, and in that space, we are sufficiently comfortable that South Africans knew about the elections when they were taking place, what's necessary for that. So in a sense of South Africans knowing about elections, we are not necessarily worried, but then elements of encouraging them to participate may worry. In terms of the impact of this budget on voter turnout, yes, we may want to do more in voter education and other promotion and advertising to encourage participation that we will have to relook and revise to be in line with the budget available. But we will still be engaged in all of those to encourage voter participation in our general election 2024.
We'll see for the first time the introduction of independent candidates as well. I mean, for me, that just says that, the actual voting sheet is going to become a lot longer and so forth. And logistics, obviously, you will have to work a lot more on your logistics, spend a lot more money, and yet you're having a budget cut.
Yes, we do expect a number of changes with the final adoption of the amendment that accommodates independence. At this stage, we're not sure what is going to come out of the legislature in terms of that. As soon as there is a decision, we will then be able to plan in some detail and know a budgetary impact of that detail. But what we have is a very positive and cordial and continuous interaction with Treasury, where they are also able to make an additional allocation for circumstances that we did not predict in our medium-term environment. And in this case, it is unpredictable on what the kind of impact the new environment of accommodating independence in our electoral system for national and province is going to have. So certainly that kind of dialogue and interaction with Treasury and possibly a specific allocation for these new circumstances that we'll have in 2024. So in terms of our current interaction with Treasury, we are not really concerned that we will be troubled by asking for an additional budget to accommodate the change.
So, sir, you're saying everything will be fine as the custodians of our democracy, nothing to worry about?
I'm not saying they will be fine. I'm saying I am welcoming that the citizens are concerned with the cuts that we are experiencing. But what the kind of environment we have is good enough that we accommodate a major impact on our environment and ensure that we resource it accordingly. But what is important is the quality of the election and ensuring that the election takes place on its required time frame. And obviously, we've learned from the court process of 2021 that we've got to keep within the 5-year term and the 90 days that we have to deliver an election. And we're planning on those bases, and the Treasury in the country is responding in a similar fashion. So we are confident that when the time comes and this amendment being applicable in that election, the state will pool the necessary resources to ensure that we give a quality election to South Africans.
Thank you, sir. Mawethu Mosery, the IEC Deputy CEO there, speaking to us about the midterm budget cut of just under 770 million rand. That budget cut, of course, for the IEC.